Hi, Shari.
Hi, Ira.
What sound is that just now?
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Oh,
you.
great.
The background sound.
Uh,
Okay, tak apa.
that's great. So,
Okay.
hope that all can hear from both of us. Dan pada hari ini kita akan discuss what we gonna discuss about. Ira, we gonna discuss about detoxing our negative thoughts ataupun
Yeah,
kata cara macam mana nak mengendalikan our negative thoughts.
betul.
So that will be covered today is actually what is negative thoughts and then in what ways our negative thoughts need dipamerkan and then causes, effects, and we're also gonna try to explain about the common scenarios that's happened in our society regarding related to negative thoughts and how we gonna manage our own negative thoughts. All right, that's all the topics that we're gonna discuss today. All right, I hope all of you also enjoy our discussion today. All right.
But before we go further, Shari, I guess that let us let our audience know yang we have changed our sticker.
I'm sorry that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Shari.
From our
Look at the same face over and over again.
yeah. Okay. From our poster, it stated that Miss Naldi will be conducting this talk today, this live. However, she ada emergency yang tak dapat direlakan, so replacing her lah. So I hope that all of you also will be enjoying this talk and this live, and then if you have any questions, just let us know in the chat box. All right. So it's pretty clear on that. And okay, we'll be going. Do you have anything else to add on?
So far, I guess not from my side.
Okay, alright. So if that's so, kita boleh start sekarang lah. Melibatkan how to detox our negative thoughts. And okay, alright, baiklah. So perbincangan pertama kita adalah dengan mengenal or knowing our negative thoughts. What is negative thought? Apa tu negative thoughts? Jadi negative thoughts ni untuk makluman tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saudara-saudara, sahabat-sahabat, kawan-kawan, our friends out there. Negative thoughts ni adalah satu bentuk perceptions ataupun expectation ataupun assumption yang ada dalam kita punya pemikiran, yang ada dalam kita punya otak. So it include perception, assumption and expectations yang ada dalam otak kita yang akan memberi kesan kepada kita punya emosi. It will affect our emotions and behavior. That is negative thoughts. And this negative thought is uncomfortable. Dia tak selesa. Kalau you ada satu thoughts and you selesa dengan thoughts tu adalah bukan negative thoughts. Nah, negative thoughts ni dia akan memberi kesan yang tidak which make you feel uncomfortable. This negative thought akan sentiasa membuatkan diri you rasa macam tak selesa dengan diri you sendiri, tak selesa dengan orang lain dan tak selesa dengan persekitar. That's how it present.
Simply say, otherwise we would call that as a negative thoughts if it could bring something pleasant to us lah. So the reason we call it as a negative thoughts because it leads us to have these unpleasant emotions and lead us to behave in more inappropriate way. That's why we called it as a negative thoughts.
As negative thoughts. Because it will bring negative effect towards our life.
Yeah, that's true.
Secara automatik macam tu lah. Maksudnya kalau you tak selesa dengan diri you, there's something going on in your mind yang not uncomfortable. So bila dia tak uncomfortable, we conclude it as a negative thought. Okay? Alright. Negative thoughts. And macam mana negative thoughts ni ada? Negative thoughts ni ada, it's related to ourselves, related to other people, and related to the world. Tiga benda. Kita ada satu negative thoughts, kebiasaannya melibatkan diri kita sendiri, Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua, melibatkan orang lain, persekitaran orang lain, dan juga yang ketiga adalah persekitaran ataupun about this world. Jadi 3 benda ni yang melibatkan diri kita, melibatkan orang lain dan melibatkan this world. 3 benda saja negative thoughts tu akan tercetus dalam pemikiran kita ataupun dalam our mind. And what are the causes of negative thoughts ni? Sangat banyak. Dia banyak sangat punca. Kenapa seseorang itu mempunyai negative thoughts? Antaranya adalah significant life event that happens in the past ataupun masa sekarang is very significant yang membuatkan you ada negative thoughts. Yang kedua, trauma di masa-masa lepas also will trigger to have negative thoughts. Yang ketiga adalah environmental factors juga memberi kesan kepada you having negative thoughts. So all environments, tapi setiap orang tu mempunyai punca-punca yang berbeza kenapa mereka mempunyai negative thoughts tu sendiri. Jadi dari sudut sepak ni sangat banyak. There's no absolute factors lah basically. There's no absolute factors yang menyebabkan you ada negative thought. Namun begitu, negative thoughts yang dilalui oleh you sekarang adalah hanya you tahu. Hanya you sahaja yang alami negative thought tersebut, dan juga sebab dia adalah that is your cause. Maksudnya sebab tu juga you lalui benda tu. It's not sama je semua orang bila benda ni berlaku and then you have this negative thoughts. Tak. Everybody, setiap orang mempunyai punca-punca yang berbeza kenapa individu tersebut mempunyai negative thoughts. Alright? And then apa kesan dia? Kalau kita ada negative thoughts ni? Kesan dia adalah, macam saya bagi tahu tadi, kesan dia adalah terhadap kita punya emosi dan tingkah laku. That is the consequences. Bila you ada satu negative thoughts, dia akan membuatkan you ada unpleasant emotions ataupun emosi uncomfortable emotion. Perasaan-perasaan yang tak selesa. Apa perasaan yang tak selesa? Okay, bila you ada negative thought, you have a tendency untuk rasa sedih. Bila you have negative thought, you have a tendency untuk rasa anxious. Bila you ada negative thought, you have a tendency untuk rasa takut. You ada tendensi untuk rasa nak marah. These all bentuk-bentuk emosi yang not comfortable when you have negative thoughts. Alright? So this is so bila you have negative thoughts, emosi you tak stable ataupun you have unpleasant emotion, of course, dia akan secara automatik akan mengganggu you punya tingkah laku. Macam mana dia mengganggu tingkah laku? Sebagai contoh, you rasa diri you tak berguna. And then you rasa sedih. Bila you rasa sedih, buat apa aku hidup lagi? It leads to, contohnya committing suicide ataupun, baik aku ambil dadah je, it makes me feel happy again. Nampak tak? Dia memberi kesan kepada tingkah laku kita tu sendiri. So, dia connected. Kalau you ada negative thought, secara automatik you akan ada negative emotions ataupun unpleasant emotions. So, negative thoughts, negative emotion, dia akan lead to negative behavior. Negative. Dia tak akan jadi you ada negative, you ada sebagai contoh, dia tak akan terjadi you ada positive thoughts. Tapi you rasa tak unpleasant, you rasa you rasa comfortable, you rasa happy je. Ni tak akan berlaku dalam diri manusia. Kalau you ada negative thoughts, dia akan adalah negative emosi dan dia tingkah laku dia pun juga negatif. Dia kena negatif. Dia tak boleh positif, negatif. Tak boleh macam tu. Dia tak masuk dalam kita manusia. Okay? So that it's not gonna happen that way, because if you have negative thoughts, it's gonna lead you to having unpleasant emotions or uncomfortable emotions. When you have negative thought, negative emotions, directly you'll be having a negative behavior or maladaptive behavior. So yang ni you kena faham the triangular or this triad. 3 benda ni, kalau negatif satu, negatif lah semuanya. Kalau positif satu, positif lah semuanya. konsep lah. So, by understanding this, you tahulah, you rasa apa sekarang. You ada an unpleasant emotion. Bila you ada unpleasant emotion, there's something going on in your mind yang kita perlu kenal pasti. Apakah pemikiran tersebut? Apakah expectation tersebut? Apakah perception yang ada yang membuatkan you rasa macam ni? Apakah what's the assumptions that you have that leads you to have this kind of unpleasant emotions? Okay? So, bila kita faham this cognitive triad or this connection between thoughts, emotions and behavior, it will be easier for you to handle or detox your negative thought itself. Okay.
Okay, Ari.
I
nak add a bit lah on what Syahri has said just now, tapi it's quite similar lah dengan apa yang Syahri cakap, pusing-pusing dekat situ juga kan. Okay, so basically like our topic today is about thoughts, the negative thoughts lah. Basically we focus on the negative instead of the positive, because kenapa kita address on this negative thoughts, kenapa kita tak address on the positive thoughts? Because when someone's struggling with mental health issue, okay, regardless of what kind of mental health issues, whether it's about the mood issues or about the personality issues, kan, especially on the mood issues lah. Usually we always look back on the way we think, because that's what psychology means. So mental health ni kan dia jatuh bawah psychology field, kan? So when we talk about psychology, it's about for you to learn how the link between behavior and also mental processes. So you see, it's about how you behave and how you think. Okay? So it means here, when you behave in a certain way and when you feel in a certain way, usually commonly we blame the situation, but actually it's not the situation that should be blamed here, because situations is something that out of our control. So what are the things that we should blame here? Dekat mana yang salah buatkan kita feel in a certain way and behave in a certain way? So that's why we try to look back on the way we think, on the thoughts part. So when we talk about thoughts, not all the thoughts are positive and not all the thoughts are negative. But there will be a positive side and there will be a negative side of our thoughts. So now we are focusing on the negative parts, because that's what usually lead us to have these unpleasant emotions, macam anxiety ke, depression ke, and it leads us to behave in a more appropriate way lah. So basically macam Syahri cakap tadi, when we feel certain way and when we behave in a certain way, instead of pointing out about that's the problem of the situation that makes me feel macam ni atau behave macam ni, so now let's try to look at on the way you think about that situation. Cuba tengok cara you fikir tentang that situation. So kalau it's on a negative way, so that's why it makes sense why you feel in that way and why you behave in that inappropriate way. Sebab when we feel and behave in a certain way, it's about the way we think about that situation yang impact the emotions or behavior. So it link with each other.
Yes.
Alright. So it means that when you want to improve your emotion, contohnya you punya anxiety. Okay, let's talk about anxiety for instance. Kalau you punya anxiety is, kalau kita minta dia rate the level kan from 1 to 10, maybe it goes, in the beginning it goes 10 over 10. 10 out of 10. And the behavior you choose to run. Okay, macam tu. Okay, kalau if we look at that emotions, kenapa you ada anxious sampai 10 out of 10? Kenapa you sangat-sangat anxious ni? So try to look at on the way you think about that situation yang trigger you punya anxiety. So if you focus on the way you think, you mungkin akan nampak yang the thoughts are actually going to a negative side. That's why you have that kind of intense emotions of anxious. Alright, so if you want to improve your anxiety, change the way you think. But because you can't change the situation that trigger you punya anxious. Like we talked before in our previous life, we always emphasize that the situation that trigger you, you can't change that thing, right? But you can change the way you think about it. You can change the way you feel about it. You can change the way you behave about it. So that's why if you want to improve your emotions and behavior, change the way you think about it, not the situations, because after all, you are a human being and you have your limitation, you have your capacity. Not all situations you can change.
Yes, yes.
Right? Okay. So yeah, so that's about the negative thoughts lah. And what are the causes? Macam Syahri cakap tadi, the causes can come from a negative life events, can come from the kalau you ada childhood past experience yang tak best, macam you have been experienced abuse ke, it's either verbal, mental ataupun any kind of abuse that you have been received daripada kecil. So somehow it can dia shape the way you think about certain situations. Okay, just imagine ya, I'm giving an instances. Contohnya, kalau daripada kecil, you have been this verbal abused by anyone around you. Okay, contohnya you always heard this kind of statement macam, this is all your fault. Semua ni benda jadi sebabkan kau. Kau tak pandai, kau tak pernah nak berfikir di luar kotak. You know, this kind of labeling atau blaming punya statement, somehow dia akan shape you daripada kecil. Bila sampai ke besar, you always think that it's all my fault. I'm the one who should be blamed here. Macam itulah dengan topik kita, I am the problem here.
Yes,
so you have been shaped daripada kecil. So and bila masa kita kecil kan, our parents, our family is our first window kan. So macam mana kita dibentuk masa kecil, kalau dia tak dibantu dengan cara yang betul, benda tu akan continuous sampailah kita besar. So yeah, that could be a reason juga. I mean the causes of kenapa kita biasa kan dengar perkataan kau ni suka sangat berfikiran negatif. Cuba fikir positif sikit. I mean that everyone had the reason kenapa you have this kind of tendency untuk always berfikiran negatif. So one of the reason, macam tadilah saya cakap, it's about, macam saya dengan Syahri cakap, it's about the way you being raised dulu ke, your upbringing. That's the first thing. And kedua, kalau kita okay, negative life events, contohnya lah someone with kita ambil contoh someone with OCD kan. Okay, I would say that COVID-19 punya situasi hari tu, it's a big event yang boleh develop OCD dalam sesetengah masyarakat kita. Ada yang develop OCD because of COVID-19 punya situation. So maksudnya sebelum COVID-19 dia bukanlah someone yang ada this kind of thoughts yang lebih kepada sangat rigid, thoughts yang lebih kepada inginkan perfectionist. Dia bukan someone yang macam tu before COVID-19. Tapi after COVID-19 dia jenis berfikiran yang lebih kepada everything want it to be perfect and lebih kepada obsessive punya thoughts. So kat sini you see a life event can make someone untuk develop certain way of thinking. What it means lah, negative life events can cause you to develop this kind of thinking pattern. So basically negative thoughts is a way of thinking that are more prone to negative side.
Betul.
That's why it is called as a negative thinking lah.
Yes. And untuk tambah lagi contoh kan. Contohnya ada orang yang apa ni? Dia sering membuat konklusi dalam sesuatu masalah atau sering membuat conclusion of a situation. Sebagai contoh, okay, dia tengok situasi ni and then in his or her mind dia bagi tahu, oh kalau berjadi macam ni mesti dia akan jadi macam ni kesan dia. Mesti macam ni. Mesti.
Sudah masuk unhelpful thinking style dah Syahri.
Lepas tu bila dia ada common scenario that's happen among our society, right? Common scenario jadi. Lepas tu and then the next time kita akan ada satu apa ni? Satu thoughts yang okay, sebelum ni aku buat betul assumption aku. This time mesti betul juga. Nampak tak satu pattern? Dan dia ada pattern. Pemikiran kita negative thoughts ni dia ada pattern tersendiri yang kita akan bincangkan lagi dengan lebih mendetail, lebih dalam, more detail about pattern of thought itself. Cuma sebenarnya the patterns of thought. There's a statement.
Question Syari.
So
Ah.
my brain
Yeah. Always want to solve problem. Okay. Okay, boleh I jawab soalan ni Syari? Sebelum I kena pointing out the name.
Sure,
Okay, sebelum my name being pointed out by Syari, let me voluntarily jawab soalan ni. Okay, my brain always want to solve the problem. Yes, memang sebab bila kita being triggered, the way kita nak like we talked before, kalau you pernah join our session, our live sebelum ni, Min Muhammad, kita pernah cakap yang when we being triggered with certain unpleasant emotions kan, kita punya reactions akan jadi dalam bentuk 3 benda. The first one is either you run, it's about freeze, fight and flight. Okay? It's about you flight, which is you run lah, atau you fight with that triggering thingy, and also either you freeze, you jadi kejung dekat situ, you jadi beku kan. So that's how we usually react in a three form of F. 3F. Freeze, fight and flight. So when we talk about my brain always want to solve the problem, yes, it can be falls under one of these 3F lah. Because you have been triggered, which is normal. Sebab when you being triggered, what you want is, I want to be free. I want to be free from these emotions yang tak pleasant ni. So what to do is just solving the problem lah. And when we talk about our mind, we always have these three level of mind tau. So everyone have setiap manusia have these three kind of mind, which what we called as an emotional mind, reasoning mind, and also a wise mind. So emotional mind, when your mind is too focused on your emotions. And reasoning mind is your mind is to focus more on solving the problem. Okay? And the wise mind is a combination of these two, reasoning and also emotional mind. And the best mind that we need to have is wise mind, the combination of emotional and reasoning. Because we have to know that not all problem can be solved, and not all problem need to follow your emotions. Because if you allow your emotions to control yourself, itu yang buat the behavior selepas tu, because of our emotions, jadi lagi teruk. Because we allow our emotions to control ourselves. While kita yang sepatutnya control our emotions, kita yang sepatutnya control our thoughts. Yes, when we talk, so that's why they focus on the negative thoughts. Okay, Syari ada apa-apa nak add, Syari?
Ya, betul. Dia melibatkan kita akan ada negative thoughts bila especially when an intense situations happen. So that solving problems ni, you dah nampak masalah kat situ. Bila you dah nampak masalah, it's an intense in our mind that our mind will akan bagi tahu diri kita yang you have to solve this problem. But we have other few options like acceptance. Okay, dalam kita diajar bahawa kalau ada masalah, selesaikan. Kalau ada masalah, selesaikan.
Sebab kita nak lari this discomfort punya feeling tau.
Tapi kita pilihan untuk accept the problems. Untuk bila kita ada few options, bila kita ada few options, the time situation tu akan reduce. The intensity of the problems akan secara automatic reduce dan akan mengurangkan our negative thought tu sendiri. Faham tak? Okay, so I hope that dia menjawablah
your question lah. Ada satu lagi Syari soalan. I have a question. Maybe counselor lah boleh jawab ya. As a counselor,
how do you really tackle
patient who has
at the beginning of this session? Okay, here. Orang kaunselor, apa yang paling penting adalah kepercayaan diri you terhadap kaunselor itu sendiri. So, susah untuk dalam therapy session, at the beginning of the session, kepercayaan tu perlu dibentuk terlebih dahulu lah sebelum kita tackle you punya negative thought. And kepercayaan akan tumbuh bila counselor to explore your negative thoughts and understand your pattern of thoughts yang kita akan bincang sekejap lagi. So, bila counselor, dia explore dekat you dan you dah timbul rasa percaya kepada counselor, and then kita identify apa pattern of your thoughts, barulah kita bincang berkaitan dengan macam
the way you think.
Macam mana nak tackle this constant negative
Yes.
thoughts. So kita tahu bila this negative thoughts develop, and adakah dia daripada kecil ataupun sekarang, ataupun dia hanya berlaku sekejap tadi lepas you ada event. Kita kena tahu all this. So banyak maklumat yang kita perlu tahu sebelum kita tackle the negative stuff. And untuk you all dalam talk ni kita akan serba sedikit lah. We try our best to compress all the information untuk expose you guys dengan apa yang berkait dengan negative thought itself. Dan antara okay. So at the beginning of the session, biasanya counselor dia akan explore dulu. Dia akan explore dan tengok dan menilai how these negative thoughts develop. So bila dia identify how macam mana how this negative thoughts develop, and then masa itulah counselor akan berbincang dengan you, akan discuss dengan you macam mana nak challenge atau macam mana nak deal with this negative thoughts. Alright? Okay, that's happening session lah.
Yes. Can I add a bit, Syahari? So so basically when we talk about the beginning of the session kan, we don't usually, we don't immediately challenge atau change the way you think, because at the first place we were just met each other kan. So our first that we would like to take a look first is about building our rapport. So maybe you can see some of the way this patient or this client think within that 1 hour session with you, but at the first place we don't usually we don't immediately challenge the way the client or the patient thinks, because we would like to build the rapport first. Like Syahari said, after you build the rapport, then you started to know why this patient or client have this kind of way of thinking. Because there might be a reason why this person developed this kind of thinking. Like we have told before, there will be your own reason why you have this kind of thinking. And doesn't mean that when you have your own reason, your own causes, doesn't mean that you are allowed to stick with this kind of pattern. It means that if you want to help yourself, then it's the time for you to challenge your thoughts. It's the time for you to make changes if you want to help yourself.
So as a client, you juga sangat penting it's very important for you to understand how your negative thoughts develop. Macam mana you sentiasa ada negative thoughts, kan? You tak tertanya soalan tu dah kepada diri sendiri, kan? Kenapa aku sentiasa fikir negatif? Kita sentiasa fikir macam mana nak react to these negative thoughts. Macam mana I have negative thoughts. Macam mana aku nak hilangkan this negative thoughts. Kita sentiasa fikir macam mana nak selesaikan. Macam mana nak selesaikan. Jika kita reflect how is developed. Sebabnya bila you hanya fikir tentang macam mana nak selesaikan tanpa you tengok pada root cause of the problem, so the pattern akan jadi sama in the future. Pattern tu you'll be having the same negative thoughts. You just need a trigger. Sebab itulah it's very important for you to understand how your negative thoughts patterns develop. So that bila you dah understand, and then daripada pattern ni lah yang kita akan cuba untuk bantu you how you gonna tackle this pattern. Alright? To understand more about the patterns, Ira mungkin you boleh terangkan patterns of common patterns, bagi tahu yang common pattern.
Boleh Syahari. Okay, tapi before we go to that part lah kan, hope we understand Samarin punya question. Hope we understand your questions correctly, and hope our answers tadi menjawab lah can provide an answer to your concern too. And when we talk about negative thoughts kan, okay, negative thoughts is something that everyone have. Even we as a therapist also, we have our own negative thoughts. There will be a time that we have this kind of negative thoughts because negative thoughts, the nature of the negative thought is something that we are not invited them to come. Macam sama juga macam our emotions, unpleasant emotions that we have talked before. So the nature of thoughts or the negative thoughts, it's about something that we tak invite pun untuk diorang datang dekat diri kita. Okay, it's just there because we have been triggered. Okay. So it means that everyone will have these negative thoughts. There will be a certain time yang you ada this kind of negative thoughts. But if you keep ruminating it, you keep fikir sampailah ia jadi teruk, sampailah ia jadi terlalu konsisten dengan diri you, then you will become lagi banyak masalah lah dekat situ. Right. So like I said, negative thoughts semua orang ada. But what's the difference here adalah the pattern of negative thoughts yang you ada. Okay. Contohnya, macam I punya negative thoughts might be different from Syahari's way of negative thoughts. So maksudnya dalam negative thoughts, we have this element of unhelpful thinking style, or scientifically we called it as the cognitive distortions. Okay, pernah tak you guys have this kind of thought macam kalau aku gagal dalam peperiksaan atau aku gagal dalam aku punya assignment ataupun exam, it means aku ni seorang yang gagal. I'm a failure. Overall, I'm a failure because I failed my examination earlier. Lepas tu, I think mesti dia fikir buruk pasal aku. Sebab tu aku nak mengelak daripada dia. Or for instance, like macam you dah lama tak, you terserempak dengan your friend. Tapi your friend, you tegur your friend, but then your friend didn't notice on you. Then you started to think, mesti aku ada sakitkan hati dia. So this kind of thinking ataupun you think of either good or bad. Tak ada the shade, the grey line there. Maksudnya sama ada aku pergi atau aku jangan pergi langsung. So this kind of thinking, this is what we called as unhelpful thinking style. Dia macam mana kalau payung besar tu is a negative thoughts. So bawah payung tu ada different ways of thinking. So one of it adalah kita panggil sebagai labeling. Ini yang cerita-cerita yang commonly kita dengar ya, labeling atau kita panggil sebagai self-blaming. So you always label yourself with something that negative. I'm a failure, I'm stupid, I am the problem here. Lagi apa hari common self-blaming yang biasa kita dengar. Apa lagi?
Betul.
Hari, apa yang you Syahri?
Apa yang you cakap. That's one of the cognitive distortions lah. Dan antara negative thought lagi yang ada adalah bila masa, bila ada masalah je, you make your own conclusion without looking at the factors ataupun you dapat satu konklusi sendiri tanpa fikir panjang.
Betul.
Another thinking pattern yang sentiasa adalah you sentiasa menyalahkan diri you sendiri ataupun menyalahkan orang lain sentiasa. It's constant. Apa je berlaku, mungkin sebab ni kot, dia ni lah ni sebab aku jadi macam ni, ataupun aku memang macam ni. Yang tu pun patterns negative thinking juga. Lepas tu ada juga yang jenis kalau benda baik you tak kira tau. Kalau you buat benda baik, you tak kira.
This is what we call as mental filter.
It's just a lot. Macam tak ada apa pun tentang dia, it's just a lot. Tapi kalau benda negatif berlaku dekat you, you jadi macam this because of me, this because of me, this because so negative. I'm failure, I'm awful, I failed. You terus you salahkan diri you. Tapi kalau benda-benda yang positif pada diri you, you tak ambil kisah, you tak it's just a lot. You tak put the credit on yourself lah. Tapi kalau negative tak, you blame yourself ataupun the consequence itu sebab diri you tu sendiri. Ni juga adalah pattern unhelpful way of thinking ataupun cognitive disorder.
Betul. So macam satu lagi yang kita biasa dengar adalah mental filter. Macam Syahri cakap lah, when you more focus on the negative side, well, there is a positive side of it. Itulah situasi yang kita selalu fikir on the negative side. Okay. Kalau biasa macam ni. Biasa tak dengar situasi yang kalau aku buat benda baik, dia tak nampak pun. Tapi kalau aku buat benda buruk, dia nampak saja. Kita nampak benda yang baik, kita tak nampak. So kita biasa dengar macam tu dekat situasi orang. Tapi there will be a time yang kita pun kadang-kadang apply benda tu dekat diri kita. Contoh kita struggle in certain situation, tapi kita tak nak, kita dismiss yang the positive side. Kita nak tengok yang the worst part sahaja, yang the bad side sahaja. So is it make sense? Kalau you want to look on the negative side, well, there is a positive side of it. Tapi you dismiss the positive side, focus on the negative side. You think is it normal kalau macam tu untuk you have this unpleasant emotions? Of course, it makes sense lah kan? Ada ke orang yang fikir negatif tapi aku happy? So you see, that's why if you want to change your emotions, change the way you think, because that's all the things yang you boleh control. And there is Madiha Muhayyadin said that I always thought the worst thing that can happen. Is there a way to change that, Syahri?
Manita, I'm looking for the questions. The worst thing that can happen. Okay. Well, as I told you, as I explained to you guys just now that kita kena tengok. You bagi tahu ni, I always thought the worst thing. Maksudnya you always thought the worst thing. So there must be a reason. Mungkin ada. I wanted to understand more how it's developed yang menyebabkan you always thought the worst. Adakah disebabkan oleh you think of the future? Adakah ia disebabkan you feel anxious? Adakah ia disebabkan apa yang berlaku sebelum-sebelum ni yang menyebabkan you always thought the worst scenario. Maksudnya this is the worst scenario. What's the consequences of yourself? What's of the consequences of thinking the worst thing happen? Adakah you rasa anxious? Adakah you rasa ada uncomfortable emotions? Kalaulah you rasa unpleasant, I rasa tak selesa, there must be a reason kenapa, ataupun there must be a pattern of your own thoughts. Mesti adanya satu patterns yang telah develop dalam diri you sendiri. Tapi yang tu kita kena kenal pasti dengan lebih more deep exploration. Sebabnya kita kena ingat bahawa everybody tu dia ada negative thoughts yang berbeza dari sudut patterns dia. So that macam mana kita nak tackle, macam mana kita nak change this way of thinking by looking at the root cause of the problem. Sebab you pattern apa? Bila kita tahu pattern you tu, barulah kita boleh tackle the issues. Tapi lepas ni kita akan bagi tahu you mungkin ada beberapa cara yang you boleh amalkan, practice untuk you gunakan untuk you deal with these negative thoughts. Tapi kita tak go detail lah, tak go detail on the specific issues, tapi kita bagi teknik-teknik yang general yang you boleh gunakan untuk you deal with the negative thoughts. Alright? That's for
basically when we talk about the worst thing kan, I always thought the worst thing that can happen. One of the technique to help yourself, I touch a bit lah Syahri. So one of the technique untuk kita challenge our mind, the reason kenapa kita nak challenge our mind is to change the way we think. Maksudnya to change the way you think is challenge your mind. Macam tu jugalah kan. So one of the way to challenge your mind so that you can improve the way you think adalah asking yourself what is the worst thing could happen if benda jadi. So the way you think, you have the right thing. Maksudnya kat situ macam Madiha cakap, I always thought the worst thing. Itu betul, tapi I always tu yang mungkin sebab bila you think I always thought the worst thing that can happen. I nak tanya you, bila you fikir this, you have this kind of thoughts kan Madiha, what comes after that?
What's the
Kata I thought the worst thing that can happen. I nak tanya how you view yourself after that. How you view yourself after that. Sebab when you ask me is there a way to change that, it seems like there is some negative statement yang you tengah put dekat diri you. Otherwise you would ask for a way to change that.
Yes.
So I mean, thinking about the worst thing can be one way to challenge the way you think. But when you I always think the worst thing. I always say, so it seems like you are trying to blame yourself with something negatively. That's why you're asking, is there any way to change that? What I'm asking, the worst thing is actually one way to help yourself. Alright. So maybe Madiha boleh respond on that part. Dan Syahri kan, I nak tahulah if you would like to share with us what comes into your mind about yourself when you have this kind of thought that I always thought that the worst thing that can happen. And okay, I leave it to Madiha untuk reply to us lah kalau she's okay to reply to us. And then another thinking style yang biasa kita dengar adalah, okay, tadi kita dah cakap pasal jumping into conclusion, kita suka predict the future, kita ada pemikiran yang suka predict the future. Benda belum jadi tapi we already predicting the future. So kalau macam tu kan Syahri, I suka explain to my client macam ni. Kita ni hidup dalam 3 different timeline. Setiap orang kita hidup dalam 3 different timeline, which is past, present and future. So where are we? We are in the future. In the present. Belum sampai future lagi. We are in the present. Tapi someone yang develop this kind of thinking style, which is jumping to conclusions, you are in the present, tapi you already predict the third timeline, which is future.
Yes.
So this time,
if you live in the future, you're not living at the present moment.
Exactly. So you are living in present. You are not there in the future yet, but your thoughts already think about what would happen next. This kind of thoughts yang mulakan dengan ayat, what if benda ni jadi? Kalau aku pergi ni nanti, kalau macam mana kalau benda ni jadi? Hello?
Yes.
You are not there yet. You are in the present.
Dan kebiasaannya orang yang live to the future, dia akan kebiasaannya orang yang live dalam future timeline, dia akan sentiasa rasa anxious tau.
Exactly.
And always wanted to prepare herself.
Yes, exactly. So nanti bila part on the technique part, kita akan share a bit lah how to help yourself to live in the present. Dari live in the past. Okay, when you live in the past, you will help you akan buat diri you rasa depressed because it already happened, tapi you ruminate it sampai sekarang. So zaman sekarang you akan live in the depressed mood. But if you live in the present and you think about your future which not happened yet, but you already think about it, it will just leave you with anxiety feelings. So now you see where the depressed anxiety comes in. Because you are living in the past, you dah ditinggal pada masa lepas, sedangkan you berada di present, ataupun you terus maju sangat ni, dah ke depan ni dah ke depan. Sedangkan your body is still in the present, but your mind is somewhere else. So itu about jumping into conclusion.
Yes, tu. Our audience, me Muhammad, but the scary bodily sensations, that's the worst when I think of the worst thing that can happen. Now you see, the scary bodily sensation ni could be the anxiety lah basically. Anxiety itself. Sebabnya bila dia secara automatic, anxiety ni dia banyaknya connect dengan future thoughts. Bila you negative thoughts, okay? Kalau future positive thoughts ni you lebih bersemangat, you lebih enthusiastic. Tapi kalau negative future thoughts, dia akan membuatkan diri you takut, diri you anxious. Dan bila you anxious and it's too intense, dia akan memberi kesan kepada you punya body. Gitu. So that apa yang bila benda ni berlaku kan, yang ni lah yang akan memberi kesan pada kita bila kita live in the future. Secara automatic you akan rasa anxious dan juga scared, takut. And apakah negative thoughts? Apakah pattern? In what ways dia present dalam you punya mind? Dia akan present dalam you punya mind adalah this world is dangerous. Macam tu. Is a danger. Dia macam takutlah nak pergi masa depan ni, takut. Dia akan jadi macam so dia akan mengecutkan, compress your ability ataupun dia akan restrict your ability to deal with negative thoughts sebab you already kat situ you dah takut dah untuk deal sebab this world, the perception toward this world is negative. Dia dah jadi macam this world is dangerous lah, I tak nak explore apa-apalah, I takut. I want to be in this comfort zone. Macam tu ya. So that's why you always prepare yourself untuk be in this comfort zone. Macam tu. So that's why dia memberi kesan lah basically how this negative thoughts affecting you.
Syari, I nak repeat dekat Min Muhammad ni. Yes, bila you fikir about the worst thing could happen, mestilah you akan rasa lagi nervous, betul tak? Tapi the worst thing that we mean here adalah the worst thing happen in the present, ya? Not the worst thing that happen in the future. Okay, I nak tanya you, bila you fikir the worst thing that could happen, I nak tahu you punya the worst thing tu. Okay, contohlah bagi satu situasi Syahri yang we always think yang there will be a worst thing akan jadi. Okay.
I'm gonna die.
Contohnya, I keluar rumah ni, the worst thing happen kalau I tak pakai, okay, contohlah, sekarang macam musim hujan kan peti kan, kan? Kalau I tak bawa payung, the worst thing yang could happen, I kena panah peti kejap lagi. Sebenarnya the worst thing apa yang jadi in the future, while you are living in the present. I mean, you dekat mana sekarang? In the office. What are the worst thing yang jadi sekarang dalam office? We want to be anxious in the present, ya. You're anxious lagi pada kejap lagi punya situasi. Keluar lagi daripada rumah. Tapi you punya worst thing tu is about something predicting the future. That's why it leads to the scary bodily sensation. You know what? This is the common thing yang biasa kita dengar, and always my client, I got a lot of client yang have this kind of pattern thoughts. Then we always emphasize that, okay, I want you to think the worst thing, but in present, not the future.
Yes.
Then I tanya dia, what are the worst thing yang jadi pada masa sekarang? Tak ada apa pun. So, so you see, the worst thing in the present is not there yet. But your worst thing, kenapa dia buat you scared, you have this scary bodily sensation, is because your worst thing is predicting the future. It's about predicting the future.
The negative future.
The negative future punya. So, and okay. So I hope we answer your concern juga, Min Muhammad, sebab I know bila about the worst thing ni memang akan come up with the idea yang lagi kita fikir lagi buruk, lagilah kita nervous. Macam mana pula benda tu boleh membantu kita? Macam mana I boleh kata it could be one way to challenge your mind, because I would like imagine the worst thing happen now, not the worst thing that could happen in the future. Kalau if the worst thing that could happen in the future is just itu maksudnya you have this another cognitive distortion, unhelpful thinking style, which is predicting the future. So we want to avoid that kind of thoughts lah. And biasa juga yang kita dengar adalah perkataan thoughts yang in a form yang macam I should become like this. It should be this way. It cannot be that way. Dia mesti jadi macam ni. Kalau tak jadi macam ni, nanti aku tak satisfied. Someone yang perfectionist, they have this kind of this should statement.
Yes.
It should be in a straight line. It should be kemas macam ni. Kalau rasa tak kemas, nanti aku rasa tak selesa, mulalah datanglah anxiety. So you see, this should statement also membuatkan kita rasa pressure. Bila kita cakap, okay, just imagine that we talk to people lah, ataupun orang cakap kat kita. Just imagine orang cakap kat kita lah, kau patut buat macam ni. Kalau kau buat macam ni, nanti benda tu tak jadi. So you, bila you dengar kawan you cakap macam tu, you rasa pressure tak dengar. Rasa pressure kan sebab rasa macam ada satu tanggungjawab diletakkan dekat aku. Right? So, you know, I mean, so bayangkan kalau you sendiri cakap macam tu dekat diri you. Your mind saying that to you. You rasa pressure tak dengar macam tu. oh my mind instruct me to do this way. It should be this way. It shouldn't be other way. Kalau other way nanti benda tak jadi. Dah masuk predicting the future pula. You see, daripada satu thought, come lagi satu thoughts.
Memang dia macam tu. Ingat.
Betul lah cerita dia.
Sifat negatif thoughts ni dia beranak. Dia beranak.
Dia beranak. Beranak Syahri bila pantang.
The more you dwell on it, makin banyak lah dia yang akan keluar. Itu memang sifat, the nature of negative thought itself lah. Kalau you ada negative thoughts and you dwell on it, and then dia akan beranak lagi banyak. Sebab it comes from the cognitive distortion itself. So, I think Ira kita kena teruskan kepada ways lah kan.
Yeah, I mean that
wanted to share with you guys, but we very limited today. So
betul. Actually, unhelpful tadi. Betul Syahri. Kalau nak cerita pasal dalam bawah negative thoughts ni kan ada different unhelpful thinking style. So yang kita bincangkan tadi tu yang macam-macam pattern tu, dia macam ada macam kena kat aku je. Memang normal sebab like I said, even we as a therapist also, kita yang bekerja dalam bidang mental health also, we still struggling with the same thinking pattern lah. So you are not alone here to have this kind of negative thoughts. You guys actually benda ni boleh you can find in the internet itself. What are the types of cognitive distortions ataupun unhelpful thinking style yang ada, so that it can help you to understand kenapa kita nak kena understand our way of thinking ni, our way of negative thoughts yang kita biasa ada dalam mind kita. So kenapa? Sebab that could be one way for us to challenge our mind.
So
kan?
Okay, Munira bagi tahu psychology change bila jadi anxious, palpitation. Yes, betul. Luckily I pergi counselling few times and okay, that's good Munira. Continue going for counselling. Go. That's good. You're doing a great job. Okay?
Yeah.
And to yourself. Alright, that's good. For Sarah, fear arises from lack of knowledge. That's great. That's good. Betul. Research is one of the best strategy to overcome here. Yes, betul.
Yes.
Once you start and then you akan rasa lebih takut dia tu kurang bila you ada insight. So insight from knowledge that you have. Betul. That's good. Feedback and that's respond lah basically. So Syahri tu yang Madiha tu tadi kan kita minta dia respond kan. So dia kata I'm living in the future, and then dia cakap apa? Dia cakap dia anxious, dia takut bila dia always dia put this statement of I always thought the worst thing could happen yang boleh jadi kan. So I'm living in the future. Yes Madiha, now bring back yourself to the present. Yes.
And then yes, you live your kenapa then you sendiri mengaku now you feel anxious, you feel takut because why? You are already live in the future while you are still in the present Madiha. And kalau you explore deeper kan Madiha about your thoughts tu, mungkin bila you always think that I always think about the worst thing could happen. How come this could be? So maksudnya diri you tu apa? Bila you seorang yang suka fikir benda teruk, sedangkan benda tu belum tentu jadi, tapi you dah selalu sangat fikir benda teruk berlaku. So do you think yang you akan label diri you dengan something yang positif atau negatif? Try to ask yourself. I mean there is a possibility that you might come to this thought yang mungkin aku ni tak berguna lah sebab aku ni selalu sangat fikir benda yang teruk. You see, now you dah move to labeling pula. Daripada predicting the future tadi, now you already label yourself pula. Satu lagi unhelpful thinking style. Berjangkit dah beranak. Daripada satu thoughts jadilah satu thoughts lain. Nah, sudahnya bila nak settle? Sampai ke sudah.
Negative thoughts, alright?
Yeah.
Okay. Few things yang you boleh buat sekiranya you constantly having negative thoughts. Yang pertama, Ira boleh teruskan. Yang pertama.
Tapi saya nampak Min Muhammad cakap, yes, thank you so much. I need to have a session with you guys, insyaAllah. Yes, we welcome anyone yang perlukan pertolongan. You see, when we talk about mental health ni kan datang for seeking help untuk sikit Syahri sikit Okay. Pertolongan ni I mean, stigma around us always said that come to therapy because gila ke, while actually not. Bear in mind that you come to us is because you want to learn some skills, life skills. Because like I said, semua orang experience unpleasant emotions, semua orang experience this kind of negative thoughts. Dan mungkin berbeza untuk setiap orang. Saya berbeza, Min Muhammad berbeza, Madiha tadi cara berfikir dia berbeza. So, coming here is for you to learn a life skills. Which everyone needed.
Yes.
Okay, Syarif, mau lah kita mau sikit dah.
Ada few minutes lah. Boleh je, sekadar boleh je lah.
Okay. Alright.
Okay. So for the first one, kalau bila you ada negative thoughts kan, and then salah satu teknik adalah using a double standard method. Double standard method ni macam ni cara dia. You imagine that you punya kawan ada sama masalah dengan you, and then dia also ada negative thought apa semua tu, and then you nak bantu dia, what things that you gonna say to her? More compassionate way. Macam mana? You nak cakap apa dia? You akan cakap something kan dekat dia. Mungkin you akan cakap something very positive towards her. And then if you can say that to her, kenapa you tak boleh nak cakap benda tu kepada diri you sendiri? So imagine,
bagi contoh Syarif.
You ambil you punya negative thoughts, you letak kat luar, and then you talk to the negative thoughts more compassionate way. Ini adalah salah satu teknik yang you cuba buat. Kalau you boleh bagi tahu, your best friend bagi tahu, oh I need your help, I need your opinion, something like that. And then you boleh bagi tahu kan. Biasanya orang ni kita boleh bagi tahu orang the more positive things ataupun the compassionate ways of thinking or something like that. Kita boleh bagi tahu mereka all these things. Tapi kebanyakannya kita tak boleh nak bagi tahu diri kita. So that now bila you ada negative, all these negative thoughts, tell yourself macam mana you bagi tahu dekat your friends, your best friend. Tell yourself about that. So, and when you tell, of course, bila you tell your friends, I believe that you ada satu niat yang sangat baik untuk membantu diri kawan you. And macam itulah you got you dengan diri you sendiri. Niat yang baik untuk bantu diri you dengan mengucapkan kata-kata yang baik dan juga kata-kata yang positif, kata-kata yang boleh membantu diri you juga akan membantu diri you sendiri. This is one lah. This untuk deal with negative thought itself. Okay.
Betul. Lebih pasing-pasing kayak gitu Okay, that's the first thing lah, double standard method tu kan. Maksudnya kalau you boleh cakap dekat kawan you, kenapa you tak boleh cakap dekat diri you sendiri? Contoh kawan you kata, aku takut nak keluar rumah sebab takut nanti orang judge aku macam ni macam tu. Then I guess that the way you comforting your friend akan more macam akan lagi berbeza lah daripada cara dia berfikir tu. Then why you can comfort your friend, why you can't comfort yourself? While both of you kalau ikutkan having the same way of thinking. But why you can say the positive thing towards your friend, but why not your friend? Why not yourself? Okay, so that's one technique lah, double standard method. Yang kedua, like I said before, what's the worst thing that could happen in the present? Asking yourself what is the worst thing yang boleh jadi kalau aku, what is the worst thing that could happen lah in the present? Okay, then the third one is examine the evidence. Evidence that support and evidence that against. Macam saya nampak tadi, salah satu cara untuk lawan this thinking trap adalah buat some research sikit. Yes, asking the evidence. Evidence apa yang aku ada, yang aku keluar rumah ni kejap lagi aku kena pandai petik. Evidence apa pula yang support, kejap lagi aku keluar ni memang betul aku kena pandai petik. So listing and evidence, support and evidence again. I know that there will be a tiring process. Memang it will be a tiring process in the beginning, tapi if you try to make it into a habit, you would be able to help yourself. Challenging your mind is like a process, So it's involved identify your thoughts. So the way you want to challenge is a process. So first thing yang you can do adalah identify your thoughts dulu.
Yeah.
And then second one is asking the evidence. Is there any evidence yang memang betul my thoughts is really true? And then the next one is maybe boleh checking for the fact atau assumption. Am I making adakah benda ni adalah fact atau am I just making an assumption sahaja? Contohnya kalau kita fail in exam. I dah fail exam. Dengan I am a failure. Which one is a fact and which one is an assumption here? Okay, so you see the fact here, okay, you dah fail. Tapi I am a failure is not a fact. It's an assumption. Tapi you already say it to yourself with this labeling. So it just leave you with anxious feeling lah. Okay, so checking for the fact and assumption, and then lepas tu practice acceptance rather than how do I say that, rather than trying to deny ataupun rather trying to run away from it. Okay, I suka bagi this kind of metaphor to my client Syari. Okay, just imagine kalau you berada di satu batu dengan di keliling you ada daun. Okay, ada yang daun cantik, ada daun yang tak cantik, yang baru gugur daripada pokok. Okay, now I nak tanya you, do you think that you can stop daun yang buruk tu daripada turun, daripada gugur daripada pokok tu? Tak boleh kan? Sebab that's the nature, daun akan gugur. Tak kisahlah cantik ke tak cantik ke, dia akan tetap gugur. Betul? Tapi you stand at the batu tu, you have the right untuk pilih yang mana daun yang cantik yang aku nak pilih. Kenapa you nak pilih daun yang cantik? Sebab you want to bring that thing bila you leave that batu, you nak live dengan happy kan? So macam tu juga dengan your thoughts. You can't stop the negative thoughts daripada datang. It will still there, tapi you have the right untuk choose which one that you want to focus on. If you want to focus on negative thoughts, then okay, up to you. Then you will feel anxious. Kalau you want to feel more happy, more pleasant, more comfortable, then choose the positive one. Overall, you have the right to choose. That's what it means by you are the one who control yourself, your thoughts. Okay?
Alright, that's good. That's good tips. And then another tips yang you boleh adalah dengan accept the emotions. Accept apa yang you acceptance lah, more on acceptance. Sebab apa? Acceptance ni adalah negative thought ni, it's like a monster, you know, it's like a monster in your mind. Dia macam you main tarik tali tau dengan dia. It's like you main tarik tali dengan dia. Dia makin kuat dia tarik, makin banyak negative thoughts, makin banyak you fikir lah, makin kuat you tarik. So at the end you akan rasa penat bila you main tarik tali ni, sebab you use the energy, you use your brain to digest all the negative thoughts ni, you akan jadi penat. Tapi acceptance berfungsi bila negative thoughts tarik you. Acceptance berfungsi bila mana you boleh lepaskan tadi tersebut. So bila you boleh lepaskan tadi tersebut, you akan rasa something yang you tak rasa letih, dan you boleh accept all this thing, dan you boleh deal with yourself better lah, with the acceptance, atau boleh lepaskan tadi tersebut. Tak perlu nak main tarik-tarik lagi dengan dia, tak perlu nak battling with your own negative thoughts. Lepaskan tali daripada battling with your negative thoughts. That's another time you boleh and then another technique adalah reattribution, ataupun you boleh look at kebiasaannya boleh dilakukan oleh orang yang sentiasa menyalahkan diri mereka sendiri. You boleh buat reattribution dengan menilai kembali faktor-faktor, banyak faktor, sebab dia tak akan dalam melibatkan kehidupan ni kan, life experiences, dia tak akan ada hanya satu saja faktor yang menyebabkan you fail. Sebagai contoh, you fail, oh I always like this, oh every person don't like me, oh it's because me like this. You telah buat satu absolute factors to your problems. Ingat, dalam life experience ni kita tak ada absolute factors, di mana banyak faktor yang berlaku menyebabkan you berada dalam situasi tersebut. Jadi this factors is not just about you, it's also mungkin disebabkan mungkin disebabkan create banyak factors yang menyebabkan you berada dalam situasi tersebut. It's not just because of you, it's not just because of your weakness, it's not just because of your kekurangan you berada dalam situasi tersebut. Sebab banyak faktor lain yang boleh menyumbang kepada masalah you. Jadi by evaluating again the factors that contribute to this situation or to your condition also will help you to deal with this negative thoughts.
Yeah. Betul. And lepas tu kan, okay, I nak add a bit lah about, biasa kita dengar, apa yang aku cuba adalah cuba rationalizing things.
Right?
Apa dia?
Ya, ni mungkin the last technique, right?
The last technique lah. So maksudnya kat sini, bukan kita nak emphasizekan on rationalizing. Sebab rationalizing, it act as a defense mechanism tau. Dia bukan act as a coping mechanism. So when you rationalize things, is by looking at other things. Maksudnya rationalizing is not maksudnya bila kita rationalize thing, bukan bermaksud kita tengah think positif ya. Rationalizing and think positively is a different thing. So bila kita rationalize thing tu, kita cuba cari pelbagai sebab. Contohnya macam kalau fail tadi, aku fail bukannya sebab aku fail ni bukannya sebab untuk sedapkan hati kita kan. So kita try to rationalize, kenapa aku fail Oh bukan sebab cara aku belajar salah, tapi lebih kepada macam lecturer aku tu tak suka aku. Sebab bagi aku markah macam ni. So you think that rationalizing, kalau you fikir macam tu, then maybe you akan macam, okay, I feel a bit relief lah sebab bukan aku yang salah, lecturer yang tak suka kat aku. So that's rationalizing. Well, kita bukan nak emphasize on rationalizing, kita nak emphasize on think positively.
Think with rationality lah, di mana you ada basis kenapa untuk, you ada sebab kenapa untuk you fikir positif. There's a logic, there's a reason behind it, and it's a right for you to think positive. Macam tu lah kita nak.
Betul. Okay. So Syahri bolehlah kita macam wrap up sikit lah on the technique part kan. So can I go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Basically, maybe what the basic techniques yang boleh you cuba buat adalah mindfulness, which is always bring yourself back to the present. So then mindfulness can be done in so many ways, and one of the ways adalah by having a deep breathing. Contohnya macam itulah and then identify what comes into your mind that makes you have this kind of unpleasant emotions. Kalau you are anxious, then ask yourself, what comes into my mind right now that makes me feel anxious? Then when you know that you have a negative thoughts, then what kind of negative thoughts that you are trying to practice right now? Adakah you tengah jump into conclusion? Then you can practice some of the techniques yang kita dah pernah cakap, yang tadi kita ada cakap, and try not to rationalizing things, but try to think more positively. Okay? Alright. And asking yourself about fact and also assumption also can be one of the way lah. So that itu secara and practicing secara general sahajalah. So kalau nak belajar lebih, mohlah datang jumpa pakar. Sebab kat situ kita akan lebih bantu anda macam mana untuk challenge your thoughts better. Cari.
Sebelum I wrap up, ada satu KK diagnose daripada Nadia Nazari. Okay, dia dah diagnose with my depression. Kalau nak go for the you tak perlu buat assessment. Kalau you dah been diagnosed, you can teruskan dengan sesi terapi. You tak perlukan.
Tapi actually kalau when it come to mood issues kan, we always emphasize, we macam when we talk about diagnosis ni, we don't really macam as long as kalau you rasa macam you depressed atau you rasa you anxious, as long as you rasa macam I can't help myself lagi dah, seeking for something that could help you, macam contoh pergi terapis ke apa ke, boleh bantu you, then go for that therapist. Diagnosis sometimes it can be matter. I mean that yes, it's an important thing. Tapi on certain cases, skills lagi penting. Macam mana you nak survive. So going to therapy lagi banyak membantulah, sebab when you go for assessment, it just help you to get certain diagnosis. Oh, aku ada depression. Oh, aku ada anxiety. What kind of anxiety? Social anxiety contohnya. Tapi macam mana untuk bantu diri you, itu lagi penting lah sebenarnya. Right? Okay. It seems like a lot of questions here tapi kita tak ada banyak masa Syahari nak jawab.
I'm so
And
sorry for you guys. Sebab kita ada very limited time.
betul.
Boleh lagi lah internet.
Ya, I nampak grateful for
boleh
opinion.
follow lah our Instagram. You boleh follow our Instagram untuk lebih mengetahui tentang how to deal with our life issues.
Betul. Okay,
So,
Syahari. Cuit. Okay, I nampak satu soalan ni. Dia kata dia dah pernah being diagnosed with PTSD and dia rasa macam CBT doesn't work for her. I hope yang grateful for me ni sedang dalam proses dengan terapis So I guess that kalau you rasa CBT approach tak sesuai dengan you sebab CBT ni dia a bit macam harsh sikit sebab dia it's about challenging your thoughts. So when we talk about PTSD is something that deal with trauma. So it's good actually if you before you challenge the way you think, it's good if you could process your emotion first. Sebab you deal with trauma, so you have this kind of intense emotion because of the traumatic events. So I guess that maybe you boleh bincang dengan you punya terapis what other approach yang lagi sesuai dengan you, yang lagi soothe untuk you, yang lagi comfortable untuk you. Sebab to be honest, we as a therapist also admit yang CBT ni a bit harsh sikit.
Dia challenging lah sebab
challenging sikit, yes.
Kalau kita ada banyak approach, you boleh discuss dengan you punya therapist. What's other approach that you boleh teruskan lagi untuk you bantu diri you sendiri.
Betul. Betul.
It's a discussion, you know, it's a discussion yang you boleh point
discuss.
it out with.
Betul. You have the right untuk discuss. Betul.
Akan cubalah untuk membantu diri you.
There is no right or wrong approach here lah Syahari. It's more on which one yang suits untuk you, yang works untuk you. Sebab you can't straight away challenge your mind if you are not ready to. So discuss lah dengan you punya terapis apa yang you ready at the moment.
Betul.
And back on mindfulness.
Selain breathing, satu cara satu grounding. Yes, correct, grounding. You boleh teruskan grounding, 5 senses. Betul. You boleh teruskan buat di mana bila you buat ni diri you tenang, and then diri you tenang, you ada positive mind atau positive way of thinking. It leads you to have a positive emotions ataupun pleasant emotion, dan bila positif pemikiran you positif, emosi you positif, tingkah laku you pun akan jadi positif. Ingat, kalau negatif, kalau positif dia akan positif. So I hope that all of you sentiasa mempunyai pemikiran yang positif dan juga emosi yang positif dan tingkah laku yang baik dan sendiri. For you to have negative thoughts, cumanya you also boleh belajar macam mana nak uruskan this negative thoughts tu. Belajar secara tak langsung macam ni live, ataupun kalau you dah cuba banyak cara and then tak boleh juga, you boleh pergi untuk datang terapi session counseling and clinical psychology, so that you boleh datang jumpa terapi untuk membantu diri you sendiri. I'm so sorry again that we cannot, kita tak boleh nak.
We are so sorry. Yes.
Dan kita akan jumpa di masa yang akan datang. Lagi dengan topik-topik yang menarik yang boleh you all join our live session. Alright? So that's all. Thank you guys for joining us today and have a nice day.
Bye bye.